Just one, two. Can you talk just to make sure?
Talking.
All right, cool. I got both of us.
Nice.
Um, but I need to make super sure. Yes, right microphone. All seems good right now. All right. Tonight we have a very beautiful scrimmage. UNF Ospreys versus OVS. As far as I know, that does not stand for something. Um, this game will be, or this set of games will be significant because it is UNF's jungler Mike Beeston's final scrim. He's graduating quite shortly, and this is pretty significant. He's been with the team for a while. He's presently the team captain that will be handed over, as far as I'm aware, to the mid laner, Jack Frost. And I think that Mike Beeston has put in, or Michael has put in quite a lot of work um, to advance sort of the league section of the UNF Esports Club. And not exactly under his rule, but through his guideship, we will see the league section of the club transfer into a whole like program at our school. Pretty exciting. Past that, we also have two substitutes for the UNF team today. In our bot lane, uh, we have an ADC player, Antonio. Um, he is an Emerald player. He plays a good amount of Kaisa, Zeri, Jin. Those are really what we can come to expect. He also has a bit of Seraphine time, but I'm not convinced that it's Seraphine ADC. He's also been playing a lot of Ophelios lately. And the support plays a good amount of Nautilus, Blitzcrank, Pike, so we can expect to see some hook champs come out on the side of UNF. It's not something we're necessarily used to, so it'll be a unique change of pace. We'll see how UNF's own players play around it, as it's something they're not super used to. Their opponents today, um, Team OVS. Can't say I know too much about them. We'll start off with Mihono Bourbon, the top laner for OVS. Or I guess OVS in general, silver plat level team. I do expect to see UNF win today. I think that um, this is more of a casual scrim for today. Just something to really have fun with, just because it is such an important scrim. I think it should be something to just have fun with. Um, and anyways, the top laner, uh, I think this is the top laner, Mihono Pyramid. Yeah, plays um a decent amount of mid laners. I don't know if this guy plays top actually. I have no idea what to expect from this guy. Um, Possibly some Urgot, possibly some Aurora. These are both champions that are in his recent history. It could just be that we see this guy play mid laner's top lane, which I am all for. I love forcing mages top. I think it's really fun for you and not really fun for the opponent at all. And I think its main opportunity to get ahead comes from your opponent not knowing how to fight it. I think most people have never fought an Ari top or a Syndra top or a Victor top. Um, and I think that Nick is probably in that boat. Now, I don't know if we'll actually see mid laners top. It could just be that we see some Ornn, Urgot, um, Aurora, some more shoddy gameplay of that type. But, anything's possible. The jungler for Team OVS, Abdurrahman. Abdurrahman. Hashtag Muslim. Um, is a Volibear player. So I do think Volibear will be hotly contested tonight. UNF is starting on. I don't know what side UNF is starting at.
I think
I
they're
was
starting
not
red
fed this
side.
information. Where do you see that?
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Okay, that's a good
Okay,
guess. I'll guess
bet you.
blue side. One of us will be right.
Yeah.
We'll find out right now as I step into the lobby. It looks like UNF is starting red side, so I think that this Volibear, if it's not banned, is getting picked game one. I don't think that this Volibear is slipping through, though. This guy has a crazy amount of time on volley. Um, he also has a good amount of time on Pantheon and Udyr, which Udyr isn't, but Pantheon, Volley, these are characters that Mike Beeston plays a good bit of, so we'll see um, his champ pool get thinned out as these games go on. Of course, he is a player with a bit of a champ ocean, so um, I doubt he'll be too heavily affected. Onwards onto the mid laner of OVS, we have Lieutenant Orange Juice. Very cute name for sure. Um, I think this is going to be one of the monsters of the team. We can expect to see the best gameplay of OVS come out of mid lane. Um, and this guy is a bit of a jack of all trades. We see a lot of every character really. Nothing has been cherry picked. If anything, it's just been LeBlanc. Has been the most prevalent mid laner for this guy. He seems a bit more favored towards assassins. Um, However, he's really dipped his toes into everything. So um, I will expect to see Lieutenant Orange Juice pull out some assassin gameplay, but I don't think that UNF can necessarily draft around this player. Um, I think that we haven't really seen someone like this appear in draft before. It'll be interesting how UNF adapts to that, if they'll elect to just ban what is good into their comp rather than what the opponent plays the most. I think this is the most valuable type of opponent you can get. It's just a little unfortunate that um, he's slightly uh, below what UNF normally goes against. Next up, the ADC for OVS, Dossie, hashtag ints. This guy is a Caitlyn player. Caitlyn, Fortune, Severe, but very, very primarily Caitlyn. Um, I expect a lot of aggressive gameplay. This player seems to enjoy lane bullies between the Ashe, the Lucian, and the Caitlyn. I might even, or we might even see some Senna come out of this guy, which I would love to see. I every so often when I'm looking at the characters that these guys play, I'll see Senna, these ADC players play. I'll see Senna, and it's so exciting. I love seeing Senna as an option, but we never see it get played. She's like one of my favorite characters in the game. I think she is pretty unique as far as ADCs go, just because of her attack speed restrictions. Both teams asked our draft at the same time. It's pretty charming. Our stream, we are our baby. But yeah, just to wrap it up, Dossie, bit of a lane bully fan. We can expect to see some aggressive gameplay out of OVS's spot lane, most likely, just based off of what this guy plays. And finally, last but certainly not least, Rex Nemo, the support for OVS, um, is a bit of an enchanter player. We see, uh, well, I believe he's a bit of an enchanter player. I could be mistaken. Yeah, we see a lot of Karma, Nami, Lulu, but also a bit of Alistair and Leona. So he is able to deal with that kind of composition that his ADC might be more favored towards. Um, so really a pretty solidly rounded team from OVS here. I'm honestly pretty impressed with the amount of characters that each of these players can play. I'm expecting Nick to roll top lane. That's my immediate, upon looking through what these players play. Mihono Bourbon is the player I am expecting to perform the poorest just because he seems to be a little bit out of his element. I don't know if this guy is really a top lane player as much as he is a mid lane player. And I think any top laner should be able to play mid lane to some success, but I don't think it works the other way around. What's up?
Can we please swap the screen so that the people can see draft and not forget to swap screens again? Thank.
Yeah. Now draft has started. Immediately we do see the Volibear ban come out from UNF side in response to a Poppy ban from OVS. The Poppy ban is quite interesting. I don't know really who on UNF plays a significant amount of that character, enough for it to be banned, especially. I think it's indicative of what we will be seeing out of OVS here. This might be where we see Adasi pull out the Lucian. I really feel like that's like the only thing I could really see the Poppy getting banned for. Nautilus banned on the side of UNF. UNF's Phil, forget his name, 5,000 milligrams caffeine, does play a little bit of Nautilus, so this could be a sort of security pick on the side of UNF, just to hopefully they have it going into the game too. OVS has banned Rise and Kennen, really putting a lot of emphasis on the top lane here. Rise is a mid laner, but I think that he is a character. It's a bit of a flex ban that covers both mid and top, and the Kennen, of course, is pretty directly a top lane ban. And finally, UNF bans Mel. Uh, like I said, I don't think that Lieutenant Orange Juice really plays um, any specific character, so we do see UNF just banning something they could find bothersome to compete against. The first pick of the draft is that Caitlyn coming out for OVS. It was left open. We do know it as Dossie's favorite pick. I'm honestly a little bit surprised that we got the Mel ban over the Caitlyn ban. It could just be that UNF's ADC Antonio is feeling quite confident into the Caitlyn. Also, something I didn't expect, UNF picking their support first. A lot of different ADCs hovered. I wouldn't mind the Lucian pick, honestly. Oh, do you have? Go ahead.
Huh? I'm just saying I saw Draven hovered for a little bit and I got excited. Whoa,
Seraphine
that's
Sona.
Seraphine APC.
Definitely
Minus the
not what I
Draven.
expected out of this bot lane. I feel like a Seraphine APC is going to be a little bit hard to work with just because I don't know how many AD characters Jack Frost plays. And I feel like you really need an AD mid lane to work with the AP ADC or AP bot laner.
Yeah, I haven't known him to play any either. Maybe he'll pull out a secret pick. He'll pull out a Zed or something, or not, a Katarina.
I could imagine him on a Zed.
For sure.
It also makes me wonder if we'll see something like ADC-esque in the mid lane, like a Corki mid or a Smolder mid. Again, once again, neither of which are characters that Jack Frost is known to play, but I'm really curious how UNF is going to make the Seraphine work for them. On OVS's side, we see Jarvan and Emilio picked. Jarvan, pretty straightforward, a bit of a divey character. Um,
There's
I
our
think
mid laner AD.
we do see an 80 mid laner out for UNF Akshan with the Quinn hover, which is certainly quite interesting. I'm curious if the Quinn was intentional, but I am excited to see the Jack Frost Akshan. It's not something that I have ever seen before, and it's kind of not something I expected to see. But I think Akshan is a very fun character to watch just because of how much impact he tends to have on the map, and I think that he's a character with potential to have great influence. I definitely don't mind Jack Frost on the character at all. I think he really likes those characters that have so much um, presence. That just being his favorite character being Galio is very indicative of that. Um, but I think seeing the Jarvan on OVS's side is a little interesting. I feel like with the Caitlyn and the Jarvan, they want to play some kind of front to back comp because Caitlyn just does not scream dive to me. I think once it's more of a pick comp than anything, just off of first glance. I think once we find their top laner and mid laner, we'll have a far better idea. But Caitlyn and Jarvan are just not characters that go well together immediately in my mind. I think Caitlyn can work well with most things. She does a lot of damage. She has a lot of range. She's very strong in lane, and you can very easily use that to snowball an advantage. Um, but in team fights, I don't know how well the Caitlyn and Jarvan are necessarily going to work out. I think it'll work out fine, but I think it'd work better with something like Misfortune, um, or a Samira. Honestly, I feel like a Lucian would honestly be better than Caitlyn if we were gonna go for a Jarvan, but it's just what Dossie is comfortable on. And we do see the Elise picked for UNF. This is a character that Michael Beeston has picked up quite recently, within the past month or two. And I know he's been having a lot of fun on the pick, so I think this is definitely a bit of an entertainment round for UNF. Um, I'm a little worried about how much AP they have on their team. I don't think we can reasonably see an Ornn this game come out from Nick, which I know he's quite fond of playing. The Malphite pick is a little questionable to me, once again, just because there is so much AP on the side of UNF. Um, but it could be that they anticipated that. They did a little bit better of a job scouting than I did, and that's why we see the Seraphine and the Elise, but it's certainly not what I would have drafted here.
For sure.
And the Ornn actually ends up being on the side of OVS. I think that might be a Malphite mid, which I do like a little bit better. Into the Akshan, I think it could prove to be a nuisance, but I have full confidence in Jack Frost to be able to deal with this character. I also think In terms of OVS's draft, the Mordekaiser ban is really interesting to me just because, once again, UNF has so much AP just between Seraphine and Sona that I feel like locking in an AP top laner is not in their best interest. So banning the Mordekaiser away from them, while I don't expect Nick to go Mordekaiser, I don't know how I feel about that ban. And UNF just banned a couple of mid laners that they would rather not face off against. Finally, we do have the Gnar locked in on the side of UNF, so just a nice consistent pick. It should be all right into Ornn. And I would not be surprised to find ourselves getting into the game very shortly here. So ultimately, we do see OVS is going for, I want to call it a front to back comp. I think that Jarvan and Malphite both have very strong dive elements, but Caitlyn and Ornn just scream front to back to me, and I feel like they are the more prevalent pieces in this puzzle. I think there's a lot of frontline for OVS. This Caitlyn is really having a lot of hopes placed upon her. I think that Dossie is experienced enough on the Caitlyn that he does have the opportunity to do well. I think that he should know this character well enough to be able to carry if he gets into a position to carry. But I feel like there's so much pressure for him to carry. I'm a little bit worried that this Elise just walks bot lane and it stays there the entire game and locks the Caitlyn off. On the side of UNF, this is really a pick comp, if anything. I think Gnar and Seraphine are both very good team fighters, Sona as well, more into the late game. But I would definitely call this more of a pick comp between the Akshan, the Elise. I think that we're going to see those be our major players for this game. They're going to be roaming around quite a lot. It seems like there is going to be a short wait before we get into the game here. It seems like the top laner for Team OVS is somewhat MIA. Oh, as I say it, he does return, and we have begun the draft, or the in-client draft, for the first of 3 games of today's wonderful scrims of UNF versus OVS. Noah, are you excited?
I'm excited. This is Mike Beesom's last 3 games. I'm ready to see how he plays them out.
Do you have any picks you're looking forward to watching here, or any lanes you've got your eye on for this game?
I am interested to see how. I'm not sure exactly how experienced Nick is with Gnar, so that's something I'm interested in seeing. And then the Seraphine Sona bot lane might also be a little interesting to watch. Certainly a draft I wasn't expecting from Team UNF.
I think that Nick did used to play Gnar a good amount. It was like one of his mainstay champs. We haven't seen it in a couple of weeks. But I think he's got a bit of past experience on the character. Recent past, so I expect him to do all right. I forget who actually does well in the Ornn versus Gnar matchup. I know one of them is pretty confidently better than the other, or more dominant than the other. And I want to say it's the Ornn, but I will swiftly double check just to be so sure. Yeah, it seems like the Ornn has quite a bit of favor in this matchup, so I'm curious why the Gnar was chosen as a counter to Ornn, but I trust that Nick knows what he's doing. He's played the Ornn a lot. Maybe he's feeling like he knows the Ornn side of the matchup well enough that he could prevail as the Gnar. I don't know how much faith I have. I know that he's probably quite a bit better of a player than his opponent, but Ornn is a very strong character. It's very hard to get him wrong, so I've got faith.
He really is.
Now, I talked a little bit about the major players for Team OVS. I think I touched on it briefly for UNF, but I really I don't know enough about Antonio to expect anything from his Seraphine and his Sona duo. I think Sona is a more late game character. She is known for her scaling. She is a pretty solid late game character, but her early game is just so weak. It gives this Caitlyn an incredible edge. Already, Caitlyn is quite a strong character in lane, so facing off against such a weak character in lane, I think we're going to see UNF spot lane struggle a good bit here. I think being a mage bot lane tends to alleviate a bit of pressure, so I think the Seraphine isn't the worst pick in the world. But the Seraphine and the Sona, I feel like UNF's bot lane is going to be struggling. And now, as we load into the game, we are faced with all the beautiful skins. Pretty great to see. 9 out of 10 skin, no, 8 out of 10 skins. I love the Obsidian Malphite. I'm curious if we'll see any color coordination from either team. I know it's something UNF does do from time to time. I'm also curious how UNF is going to do into this Malphite. I think he's probably going to end up being an AP Malphite just by him being mid lane. It tends to be what Malphite goes in the mid lane is the AP build.
Yeah.
I still feel like Akshan has the edge over him, but I think this Malphite can just walk bot and explode the Seraphine on cooldown. And as I mentioned, I think that it's really important for Dossie to pull ahead this game, so it could definitely be what ends up happening. We do see both teams looking like they're going to be 5-pointing. Our Sona is a little late on the side of UNF. However, she is present. Good sportsmanship in the chat. Everybody is excited. It looks like UNF actually is not 5-pointing. They're going for a 4-point. Sona has elected to join her Seraphine in the bottom bush. Junglers trading blows in the mid lane, ultimately amounting to nothing. I doubt either of them have the ring on, which they may benefit from. Jack Frost gets a good amount of early damage onto the Malphite, and I think from how much damage we just saw this Malphite take, I really am expecting the Akshan to win lane. I can't imagine him struggling too much, or struggling enough in the early game to neuter him for the mid game. Both junglers are clearing bot to top, which is really interesting to me just because I put so much emphasis on the ADC for Team OVS. It seems they don't feel the same way. It could just be that they have faith in their Caitlyn and Abdurrahman? Abdurrahman. I actually think I said that alright. Wants to get his Ornn in a position where it's impossible for him to lose lane. Already, we see some all-ins happening mid lane. Akshan is a very, very strong character in the early levels because of how his passive works. And we see that level 1 winning against the level 2 Malphite, winning the trade, and flashing after him to take him out. Both mid laners do use both of their summoner spells. And in the bot lane, we do see UNF's laners struggling quite a bit, or UNF's bot laners specifically. Already at around half health, just beneath their opponents, which is probably what we're going to be seeing for the rest of this game. Nick gets a fantastic engage onto onto the Ornn in top lane. I don't think this will result in a kill by any means, but it is a fantastic early trade. I would not be surprised if this Ornn were forced to back and recall and teleport. Elise is now crawling over, looking for perhaps a gank under tower. Yeah, she stops the Ornn from backing, and just ignoring the need for a wave, she goes for a tower dive, and not a great start to the game for Mike Beeston. Very, very clearly just having a bit of fun. But in the end, Ornn does go down. And we see the Elise immediately purchase a Dark Seal. If only he'd done that a little bit sooner. I don't know if he had the gold, though. He might have gotten the gold for it after the assist from that takedown. Jarvan is currently looking at the top lane. I wouldn't be surprised to see this Gnar go down. However, the double buffs are definitely doing a lot for him. Now, already, we see Mike Beeston back on the field in the bot lane. A gank coming down. This Caitlyn is slightly caught out. However, she does manage to catch the Sona out. Mike Beeston going in a little uncertain about his target. And in the end, both bot laners escape on the side of OVS. I think the Seraphine was just a little bit too low on mana. She's not in a very good position to follow up on anything Evelyn can do, or not Evelyn, Elise can do. But I don't think Michael hit his CC there, his stun, so ultimately it was an unsuccessful gank. Now, for the first and probably what is the only time this game, we see UNF with an ounce of Cryo in the bot lane, pushing OVS's laners back a little bit. However, Antonio was out of mana, has to recall. He does have teleport, which is a unique advantage to have. Oftentimes we do see AP bot laners pulling teleport out. As I talk, Nick is getting a pretty solid engage onto Ornn, does not manage to hit his stun, and ultimately loses the trade as a result of that. Took a load of damage from the minions in that engagement. And now he is down his Mega form as Mike Beeston approaches top lane. Jack Frost goes for a tower dive onto Lieutenant Orange Juice. Maybe feeling a little bit high off of the kill he got earlier, but in the end he dies pretty unceremoniously. Mike Beeston is once again ganking this Ornn top, but this time does not decide to die under tower for it. Dodges the engage from the J4, and in the end, Nick is the only one to really take damage. However, it seems OVS does not intend to pursue this Gnar. I really feel like they could have. Honestly, both Nick and Mike Beeston are low enough. However, the Gnar was approaching 6, so it could just be that OVS didn't want to mess with the Gnar. Mega Gnar. I think his ult is just his name. So it's kind of hard to say it out loud. The Gnar, ult, the Gnar R. In the bot lane, we do see Caitlyn get caught out, exhausted by caffeine, and it chips down very heavily by Antonio. More and more damage falling onto this Caitlyn. However, it looks like caffeine is in a bit of trouble. This Caitlyn does not have her flash up, so I don't expect her to chase this. Jack Frost is also lurking and creeping in the bot lane. I think this Caitlyn might be in a bit of trouble. Elise is also here. However, Jack Frost has been seen by this support, and ultimately we see the Melio and the Caitlyn go down. Malphite just realized his laner is missing, is now walking down. However, it seems like he's going to meet 4 UNF players. The Malphite does manage to squeeze flash out of Antonio, but other than that, another just execution and a kill on the side of UNF. First Drake, Chemtech Drake, is being taken by UNF. There is no way, no how that OVS is going to be able to contest this. And Mike Beeston starting off strong in the jungle. He's been ganking over and over again. He got the first objective. He's down quite a lot of CS for all the activity he's been participating in around the map. But I think the impact he's had is worth its weight in gold. It looks like he does not manage to lose the scuttle to D'Amelio. Very proud of him for that. Presently, the J4, I believe, is on Grubs. Are Grubs keeping up? Is he already over with it? No, he's on Grubs. And I don't think we'll see any UNF members even check it. I expect Grubs to be handed over to OVS in exchange for that positive trade of the bot lane UNF got. Quite an amount of gold and the dragon. It looks like UNF is expecting the Malphite to roam bot at some point. We see Jack Frost place a cheeky little ward just to catch any ganks this Malphite might go for. But ultimately, I think the Akshan is the deadlier of the pair. We do see Akshan and Elise positioned around these bot laners. J4 is here to cover his teammates. However, they're still outnumbered. I think that Caffeine flashes, ults in. We see an Encore come out from the Seraphine. Additionally, the Malphite is present for this fight, and it's gone horribly wrong for UNF. This tower dive is not at all winning. We almost see Jack Frost die to the Caitlyn snipe. He barely makes it out with his life. In the end, UNF loses 2 members and does not get a kill for their troubles. So, Noah, looking at this game, how are you feeling? I think UNF is a little bit behind. I feel like they've made a couple of small mistakes that have led to them getting to this point. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it. A lot of these mistakes do seem like the product of some kind of overconfidence. It's just like really overestimating how strong they are at a certain point. I do think if they play it right, they could bring themselves back, but that's going to take quite a bit of work.
Ornn in the top lane getting ganked by Mike Beeston. Looks like we will see the Ram fall. honestly, this game is quite close. Jack Frost getting engaged upon in the mid lane. I do think this J4 should get the kill. He does have Cataclysm up, but he ultimately doesn't go for it. I don't know why he held Cataclysm. I really feel like that Akshan definitely could have died and it would have been worth it. Dragon Fight is about 80 seconds away. Cataclysm, what, like a 90, 100 second cooldown?
About 110 seconds, yeah.
Antonio gets traded very efficiently upon in the bot lane. His health is cut down, which is, I think that we're close enough to the Drake 50 seconds now that these ADCs being this low is going to be an issue. We see a gank getting set up in the mid lane. A bit of a flubbed flash by Abdurrahman, but in the end he gets the job done, and we do see Cataclysm come out to clear out the Akshan. Meanwhile, Mike Beeston is ganking in the bot lane, and we see both of the bot laners of OVS fall. I think the UNF is in a far better position to take this dragon than their opponents are. And the best thing that OVS's players can do are gank Nick in the top lane, and it seems like Nick isn't aware of that. However, OVS is. A really good amount of macro by them, or a good macro play. Mike Beeston in the mid lane, playing around with the Malphite at this point. I really feel like he should be on top of the Drake. UNF seems not as ready as I'd like them to be to receive this objective, but I suppose they just have the confidence that they'll be ready for it when it's important. We do see Nick fall in the top lane to this gank after very, very nearly escaping. And now OVS is a little bit more prepared, a little bit more congregated, a little bit more ready for this Drake. I think it could be that UNF wants to wait for their bot lane's ults to be up. The Encore and the Crescendo were both very, very powerful, very relevant in team fights. However, their bot laners might not be alive for the Drake. Orange Juice has roamed to the bot lane, pulls out the Unstoppable Force, hits both Caffeine and Antonio, and in the end, the support of UNF does go down. I think that's the less important target. However, I think being a player down puts UNF in a really tough position for this. The Akshan is quite strong. It could be that UNF is able to win the fight off of his damage. Already sitting on an item, and the Malphite was just forced it back. It looks like OVS will not be going for this Drake. A lot of play is going on around this Drake. However, not a lot of getting the Drake is happening. It's really strange to me that neither team has attempted to go for it. I think both of them have been in positions where they're strong enough to take it, but the teams do not feel the same way. It looks like we are finally seeing the Drake fight. Crescendo comes out, followed up by an Encore, hits 3 people. Additionally, the Seraphine roosts 3. However, J4 goes in, catches out Caffeine. The Ornn TP's down, pulls out the Call of the Forge God. We see a Cataclysm come out, and Seraphine is cut down. Now, at this point, OVS does not have any ults, and UNF has only Akshan available. I don't think UNF is going to be able to contest this at all. Mike Beeston is hopeful, however, this Ornn is like a brick wall just blocking him off. However, Bourbon did TP bot lane for that Drake. I do think we will see Nick take the top lane tier 1 in exchange. This is not, however, the first turret of the game taken. And the Ornn as well is able to take the bot lane tier 1. We might see Bourbon die to Antonio here. I don't really expect it. I think Ornn has enough tools to walk away safely. Oh, missing that was crucial. We see Lieutenant Orange Shoes very barely, narrowly escape a 3-man gank from UNF in the mid lane. We have 4 members of UNF in the mid lane here. It's pretty unique to see an ADC left completely on his lonesome, but I think that's one of the benefits of the APC, is that it's a lot more capable of surviving on its own, and that's very, very clear by how much damage this Ornn is taking. He's forced to recall, and I do think Antonio is going to get this tier 1. It looks like Jack Frost is smelling blood in the water. He's looking towards the bot lane, but ultimately he elects not to go. OVS gets the Rift Herald. No fight, no action, just business. They go in, they get the Rift Herald, and UNF is allowed to clear their camps. Not even get any turrets. Very sad sight to see. Both Otacon and the next Drake will be spawning shortly, about 2.5 minutes away, 3 minutes away for the Drake. And they are on the same side of the map. Whichever team wins the Drake should also be able to get the Otacon within reason. It looks like we will be having a Cloud Soul for this first match here. The most impactful soul in the game. I think that Cloud Drake is probably the best Drake in the game too. But I think that's more contestable. Movement speed is an incredibly powerful stat in League of Legends. Orange Juice engages on Nick into the top lane with the Unstoppable Force. You do see the J4 follow up, but Nick is able to flash away and escape with his life. And ultimately, Nick does go down. The J4 executes a beautiful tower dive with Orange Juice tanking for him. Takes exactly the amount of damage he's allowed to take. And gets out. The J4 does hit a Cataclysm onto the support of Team UNF. Antonio is able to escape it, however, slightly. Caffeine is very close to going down, however, Sona has a lot of movement speed. In the end, Dossie does manage to catch out Caffeine. Meanwhile, Jack Frost pulls out the Akshan ultimate onto the Ornn. Does not manage to kill. Orange Juice is able to find the Akshan, however, and Mike Beeston follows shortly after. UNF is 3 members down, and Drake is just a minute away. They will not be spawned in time to reasonably contest this Drake. They are on the back foot at this point. However, I don't think that OVS will be able to take the Otacon immediately after the Drake by any means. Antonio caught out by Abdurrahman. Man. Yeah, I said it right. But does not die for it. I feel like I've seen several points over the course of this game where the J4 has the opportunity to kill someone, but elects to disengage instead. And we see the Unstoppable Force come out on Caffeine. And Sona does go down. In exchange, the other members of UNF chase down Dossie, the ADC of OVS, and put her down. UNF does have the advantage in this Drake fight. I think that we did not see OVS prepare properly for this Cloud Drake, and the advantage that they gained beforehand was not used to the best of its abilities. UNF nets another kill on Lieutenant Orange Juice. This Ornn is also looking a little worse for wear. You see Call of the Forge God come out. Unfortunately, we do not see the Ram's Horns connect. And UNF is suddenly in a very confident position to take this Drake. I don't think that they will have any trouble at all. Additionally, Akshan is quite excellent at taking the Otacon just due to a quirk he has. He can swing indefinitely around the edges of the pit. It looks like Jack Frost is either not aware of this quirk or incapable of using it himself. I'm sure it takes some amount of skill to pull off. We see the Gnar come out, the Gnar come out from Gnar. Cataclysm goes in an early smite from Abdurrahman, and not a very fast follow-up smite by Mike Beestum, I think, or maybe it was an early smite from the both of them, because the Akshan is the one that ultimately gets the Otacon, and the Otacon does go over to UNF. A fantastic unstoppable force by Lieutenant Orange Juice completely flips this dragon fight, hits 3 people, kills 2 of them. We see him flash after Jack Frost. However, Jack Frost is able to get the kill, and OVS is a little bit too slow to engage onto the jungler of UNF, and the Cloud Drake does go towards UNF. Baron is just 2 minutes away. I think we've seen both teams have a lot of ability to win throughout this game. I think we're seeing it both teams pull ahead and fall behind and pull ahead quite a lot, honestly. This has been a pretty entertaining game so far. UNF not as present around the Baron pit as their opponents. It seems like OVS is very aware of this Baron spawn timer, and it looks like they're getting some early vision around it. This Gnar looks a little bit far forward against the J4. J4 does have Cataclysm up, however Ornn is not close enough to realistically follow up. We also see the Melio top, so it could be that OVS wants to force this Gnar out under tower. We do see Mega Gnar popped. And it's taken OVS long enough with this gank that Mike Beestum is present and able to deter the players of OVS. Presently, the game is in a very calm state. We're really just waiting for this Baron to spawn so that both teams can fight over it a little bit. Cloud Drake, additionally, is 3 minutes away. However, the big prize is the big purple worm, and I just know UNF is after it. We do see Mike Beestum recall into Shadowflame. It's a little bit of a time loss before the Baron. I think you really want to get into that fight as soon as you can if you're UNF. Just because the J4's flash is coming up within a minute or so, I'd say. I think that it's very much in the OVS's best interest to wait that out. And it looks like they're going to be waiting it out. I know UNF is a very safe team. I don't know if they'll start this Baron until a member of OVS is dead. So it definitely could be that they stall enough time for this J4 to have his flash up. We do see all 5 ults available for both teams. Ornn on the opposite side of the map right now. I really think that UNF is in a very strong position. I think this Akshan in particular has a great ability to make a play happen. We do see Nick and Bourbon trading blows in the bot lane. Nick in a bit of a better position. Really defying the Ornn versus Gnar matchup so far. Ooh, an unstoppable force by Lieutenant Orange Juice hits both of UNF's, or hits UNF support and their jungler. A Cataclysm comes out from Abdurrahman. Unfortunately for him, he does fall. However, UNF's members are quite low. Orange Juice tanks the Akshan ult for his support. I think the Ornn really needed to be there for that fight. It was a very good unstoppable force. However, there just was not enough follow-up on the side of OVS. And ultimately, they lose the fight, and we will see UNF take Baron off of this. This Baron was also stalled out long enough that by the time it's taken, the Drake will be up and ready to be taken as well. I think we do tend to see UNF's members walk from the Baron to the Drake. However, Mike Beeston is quite low here. I don't know if we'll be seeing that this time around. Looks like we will not be. The J4 is already halfway across the map, very ready for this Drake. Unfortunately, his teammates just aren't alive. Ornn collects a cool 700 gold from the bot lane tier 2. And I think Ornn is absolutely the best character to collect this normally. When you get that amount of gold, you wouldn't be able to use it before, or this close to the Drake starting. However, Ornn, as a result of his passive, can just craft items for himself on the spot. He doesn't have to back to the shop. It doesn't even look like OVS is going to be contesting this Drake. I feel like with all of their players there, I feel like OVS has a pretty solid team fight. We see Encore used a little bit prematurely by Antonio, just hoping to catch out any stray members of OVS. Does not manage to do so. Malphite pushed top lane very effectively. A good negation of the Baron buff. UNF is probably about halfway through their Baron buff. Yeah, pretty much exactly, actually. And so far, they haven't really gotten anything for it. OVS so far doing a great job deflecting it. We do see Nick getting engaged upon by the Ornn. Nothing really comes from it. I think Gnar is a slippery enough character to survive such actions. Jack Frost collects 700 gold from the top lane tier 2. OVS does not contest it. They have all their members mid. They're very, very worried about this mid lane tier 2 going down, when I think they really should be more worried about their side lanes. It's a little disappointing to see UNF 5 manning mid. I don't think they can end the game here. And I don't know if the mid lane tier 2 is worth as much as a side lane tier 2. Not just in terms of gold value, but in terms of what they get out of it. Ornn gets hit by the Encore. Melio and Malphite as well. The Crescendo follows up onto the Ornn. We do see the Melio go down. The J4 goes for a Cataclysm. Once again falls. So far, it seems like the Cataclysm has been a little bit more deadly for the Jarvan than for his opponents. And UNF just cleaning this game up right here, right now. Shoving straight through mid. Amazing damage from this Akshan. Honestly, he has been the one to watch this game. As I say it, Unstoppable Force comes out. Jack Frost put down by this Malphite. It does still look like UNF will be able to win this first game here. Dossie runs in hopeful, takes her entire health bar and damage immediately. Currently, we are seeing the ADC meet the top laner, and well, the ADC's ahead. The ADC's winning. I don't know if UNF will actually be able to win after that over-aggressive play by Nick. It's definitely surprising to see this match still going on. I was not expecting it. I think this is OVS's opportunity to come back. They're really not that far behind. They could reasonably win a fight. Lieutenant Orange Juice has been hitting some fantastic unstoppable forces. I think if we just see that paired with Call of the Forge God, we really can see UNF's players fall. Dossie presently is sitting on 3 items. She does have the, I think it's called Hearthwork? Masterwork. We do have a Masterwork Infinity Edge. About the single strongest item in the game. Or most damage an ADC could hope for, really. In terms of gold, this Caitlyn is ahead of the Seraphine. But otherwise, everyone's really quite even. I wasn't really expecting that. I really do think this is anyone's game. And it looks like it will be coming down to this 3rd Cloud Drake. 5th Drake of the game. If UNF gets it, it's Soul, so if OVS has any hopes of winning, they will put their all into contesting this Drake. The lanes are pretty solidly pushed out. They're about even, but top lane is pushed out. Ornn gets caught out by the Encore, uses Flash and Fear. We see Call of the Forge God come out early, does not manage to connect with anyone in any relevant way. And as I was previously saying, I think we need to see Unstoppable Force in a Call of the Forge God. It looks like OVS did not feel the same way. I'm a little bit worried about how they're going to find the damage to win this fight. Orange Juice gets chunked down by the Seraphine. Her damage is amazing. Meanwhile, Mike Beeston clears out the Drake. We see the J4 Cataclysm go down. Mike Beeston gets cut down. Jack Frost is tearing through the enemy team, though. I do expect to see UNF's jungler come back. It looks like UNF might just be making a beeline for the Nexus. Or, no, I'm looking at OBS. My bad. UNF is instead making a beeline for the Baron. My apologies. And then you will see them shove hard for the Nexus. These Nexus turrets are respawning. So their previous push has been in vain. However, UNF does manage to collect the Baron. Between the Cloud Soul and the Baron, I absolutely expect to see UNF wipe this very final push. I think they could reasonably push 4-1 split, just have the Akshan side lane, and have great success with it. However, UNF's MO seems to be to 5-man down mid every time they have this endgame situation. And I expect them to stick to that MO. I'm so sorry, I thought my microphone was muted. Orange Juice hits a fantastic Unstoppable Force on a Mike Beeston, cuts down one of the members of UNF. This is pretty big for his team, however, we will be seeing him fall, or at the very least forced to flash. We see Caffeine flash after him. Looks like this kill is very important to UNF, but they are just not going to get it. Call of the Forge God used on Caffeine. Jack Frost comes in from behind, catches out Lieutenant Orange Juice, brings back Mike Beeston, and gets a little bit of damage onto the Melio. UNF manages to catch out the bot lane tier 2, shoves it hard enough with the Baron buff. They are able to take it without their Akshan. And they are looking for the bot lane tier 3. Jack Frost and Antonio break the mid lane inhibitor. I do expect to see these Nexus turrets under siege quite soon. In fact, Jack Frost is already working on one of them. This Ornn, a little bit far forward, taking quite an amount of poke damage, manages to dodge the Encore this time. A great engage once again by Orange Juice. This Malphite is making the character look quite strong. Jack Frost, however, gets great damage onto Dossie. Unfortunately, Caitlyn just taps him with a headshot. And this game is still going. OVS manages to defend their Nexus turrets. It looks like UNF just pushed a little bit too fast. And the next Drake, Elder Drake, is just 2 minutes away. And some change. Noah, you've been pretty quiet. How are you feeling about this game?
I've just been kind of watching, spectating. I am surprised that it's lasted this long. I feel like with some of the ways the Team UNF had been playing, this would have been over already. But I am surprised to see that they're still in it, holding strong.
Do you think that it could have anything to do with like a lack of coordination? Because UNF does have a substitute bot lane right now, so...
Oh yeah, whole entirely substituted bot lane could be a reason. But even then, there were some misplay in the top and mid lane, regardless of what the ADC and support were doing.
Orange Juice once again manages to clear out 2 players of UNF with the unstoppable force. Antonio manages to catch out Dossie somehow. Additionally, clears out the Malphite. I definitely wasn't saying anything about the players. I think that Antonio was doing a really great job. And this Gnar is looking for a back door. It seems like he doesn't realize there's still an inhibitor turret up. It could just be that he's paving the way for his team. A bit of a questionable TP from Nick here, but nothing. Elder Drake 40 seconds away, almost 30 seconds now. I think that there have been a lot of big objectives captured this game. However, I think Elder Drake should be the last big objective to be captured. It is very hard to win a team fight against an opponent who has Elder Drake. Elder Drake, the team which takes Elder Drake gets a passive in which all of their attacks and abilities burn their opponents for true damage. More importantly, once their opponents fall below a certain amount of health, I actually don't know how much it is. I think it's like 20% off the top of my head. Once their opponents fall below that health, they will die. It basically just reduces the max health of everyone who didn't get the Elder Dragon. Call of the Forge God comes out, does not manage to make significant impact. Nick hits a fantastic Gnar onto 2 players. Jack Frost is just tearing through with the damage from the Elder Drake. And Lieutenant Orange Juice, this fight does not manage to hit that game-winning unstoppable force that he's been doing fight after fight. Originally, I was very uncertain about the Malphite pick, but this guy has really, really, really been making me believe in it. Dossie gets caught out by Mike Beestum, exploded. Ornn exploded. Meanwhile, Antonio is clearing out the Nexus turrets. A fantastic first game by UNF here. They really made it entertaining, but in the end, they really pulled it together and won quite confidently. So I think that was a pretty solid game 1.
That was very solid. Yeah.
Go on.
No, I didn't expect the Elise to do as much as she was able to. I feel like this character you definitely have to be ahead of the other team to make a whole lot of impact on. But I am glad to see that Mike Beeston was able to keep up with the rest of his team.
Now, something I'm really curious about is um, what we'll be seeing from Lieutenant Orange Juice from this second game. Honestly, I think he did a really great job on the Malphite. I think the reason that OVS managed to keep that game going as long as they did was because of the fantastic ults from this guy. I think it's very clear that he's an assassin player. He really played Malphite like an assassin, and it worked quite well. Um, I'm curious to see what he's like on a more traditional assassin, like Katarina, LeBlanc, whichever. Um, but yeah, that's really what I'm looking forward to this next game. I think we saw some amazing ganks from Mike Beeston in the first game, especially the first 10 minutes of the first game. I feel like UNF's laners got a very stark head start. And I think that probably helped UNF to stay in that game, honestly. There were a lot of points where it looked like they could lose. But uh, as particularly that Seraphine was just strong enough to tear through OVS's members and really keep UNF afloat. Now, one thing I am curious about going into this next game here is what we'll be seeing. I think a big highlight of the first game was that we got to see Dossie on the Caitlyn. That's a character that he is very, very adept on. And I feel like he actually did a really good job on it. I feel like he put up a good show and really performed. So I'm curious if we'll see that level of performance when he's on other characters. I'm kind of thinking no, just because he does have so much time on the Caitlyn, and you can't possibly expect him to perform that well on other characters. But we'll have to see. UNF does ban out the Volibear immediately. Um, Abdurrahman did have a lot of good cataclysms. Like the idea was there, but he was just too squishy on Jarvan to be actually going for that. I think Cataclysm and Volio are quite similar, just in hitbox, so I could imagine that. I don't know. I'm trying to make a connection. It's too much of a stretch for me. I don't like it. Um, I think that I was thinking seeing him on a tankier character would be really interesting. Um, OVS bans out the Amumu, a very consistent pick, covers a lot of bases. I don't mind the ban at all. UNF knocks down the Nautilus. We might be seeing very similar bans to the game one. We might be seeing the same bans as game one, honestly. Um, and OVS bans out the Set. That is unique. I don't think I have ever seen Nick play Set. Um, I'm not really sure what OVS saw that I haven't seen, but they don't want to mess with it. It could be that their top laner intends to choose the first three and intends to choose a character in which Set is quite strong into. And we do see the same first three bans from UNF. Once again, Orange Juice does not seem to play any character a particularly large amount, but UNF just does not want to deal with this Mel at all. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised to see the Anivia and the Silas go for bans 4 and 5 once again. I think they definitely have their eyes on Orange Juice right now. He was the star player of OVS round one, and I think UNF don't want to let that happen again. We see Kindred locked in for UNF. OVS really is letting Mike beast him onto these carry junglers. It seems they don't realize that that's his forte. They're really just concerned about the Amumu as a consistent pick, but the Viego, the Kindred, the Elise even, or yeah, the Elise even, are all characters that really just farm kills and then run away with the game. And that is what Mike Beeston is exceptional at. And I think that letting the Kindred slip through is a mistake. And I think OVS is definitely going to pay for it. Severe locked in. Very respectful ADC pick. Severe is super safe. She has a spell shield in her base kit, which is a very, very useful tool for surviving really everything. Any character would be happy to have a spell shield on their kit. And it should help a little bit into this Kindred. I don't think Kindred has necessarily anything majorly worth spell shielding. Lulu as well is quite a safe pick. So this is a really safe bot lane from OVS here. It makes me curious as to what they intend to do with this game. As it does not scream early game prowess. Nami is locked in on the side of UNF. Traditionally, I think we see Nami run with a lot of lane bullies, though Nami is really just a strong character right now. I don't mind it being locked in with really anyone. And I think Zeri is a great character to lock in. I think when you see such a safe bot lane, you really want to run a hyperscaler, and Zeri is the character to foot the bill right now. Zeri is quite strong in the late game. I would definitely say stronger than Severe, and Antonio is definitely able to play the Zeri. We see Xin Zhao come out as a response, a very consistent jungler. Noah, what do you make of this draft so far?
Um, I don't have a lot of significant thoughts. I am excited to see the Kindred, because obviously invades are a big part of that champ, so there are bound to be some interesting plays being made here. Xin Xiao is a pretty safe jungler in terms of just picking him for consistency. Uh, Looking at the bans, looks like they're hovering a Yorick ban. Uh, I don't remember. Was their top laner a huge Yorick player?
Their top laner is a mid laner. He really doesn't play any top laners
Makes
that
me
I could
wonder what
see.
they're planning on locking. Makes me wonder what they're planning on locking in top lane then. Uh,
And you do see Jack Frost getting banned out by OVS here. Looks like he's a bit more fearsome than Nick to them. Whereas the previous game we did see the Kennen get banned. That has been let slip this time around. I think OVS is very. I'm conflicted. I feel like a little weirded out by their draft. Like the Set and the Amumu are both very interesting bands to me. Just it shows a lot of. I think what it is a lot of foresight by their part. They're thinking about what UNF plays that would be good into them, whereas UNF tends to. It's like a more of a ranked mindset, or a clash mindset, I guess. Whereas UNF is thinking more in terms of the team comp as a whole. Um, and might not pick a character that is strong in lane, but is more so strong in the game. So it's interesting to see these philosophies clash with each other. And Bessa Lupton on the side of UNF as a response to Sion from OBS. And Bessa is very, very consistent laner. Sion as well has been shown to be quite consistent. Over this past year, the character has kind of been just strong. I think he had the highest win rate at Worlds. Sion is definitely a menace worth fearing, but Mbessa is also a very, very strong character. It's pretty easy to play her, and she has everything you could really want in a character. She's chunky. She does a boatload of damage. She has a great engage. She has unstoppable. She has dashes. She has single target damage. She has AoE damage. She has a shield. She just has everything available to her, and is honestly a great response to Sion. Ahri locked in as the final pick for OVS. I'm really curious if we'll see this Ahri top lane, because while Bourbon does not play top laners, he does play mid laners, and he does play Ahri. This guy's like mastery 140 on Ahri. This guy's an outrageous amount of time in Ahri. I would love to see an Ahri top. Honestly, I feel like the Mbessa wins against the Ahri top. I think that there's a reason we don't really see that character run in that lane, but I would be interested in seeing it this game. I do know that Orange Juice also does play Ahri, so more likely than not it's mid lane, but I definitely think it's a possibility we see this Ahri put in the top lane. Client draft begins. We are roughly 3 minutes away from the game actually starting. And just looking at these comps, I think that UNF is going for a bit more of a dive comp. I think they don't really have any hard engage except for Mbessa, which tends to be a little bit unreliable. So it's kind of hard to call it a dive comp. I think Zeri is also a pretty front to back character. But there's just not a great front line for UNF, so I don't want to call it front to back. I'm a little less certain about what they're going for. I think that they just chose a bunch of champs that team fight solidly and scale quite well. And I think we're going to see this Kindred get a lot of work done in the early game. So I'm a little less certain on their comp. On the flip side, OVS chose a very stable front to back composition. They have the Sion, they have the Xin Zhao, both very strong frontliners. I think that Xin Zhao shines more as a frontliner than the Mbessa, despite them both being bruisers, because of his ultimate, which gives him complete invulnerability to anyone attacking him from a certain range away from him. Once they're far enough away, they can't damage him. And UNF has 4 out of 5 ranged characters, so the Xin Zhao is going to be surviving. And Sion, of course, I think besides Malphite, he might be the premier tank of League of Legends to me. This guy is so healthy, so chunky, so tanky. He can take so much damage, and he can dish out a lot of damage too. He's a force to be reckoned with, and a very, very solid choice of frontliner. Severe and Ahri both aren't like crazy high damage characters. I think that they are high DPS characters. If let sit alone, they can dish out a lot of damage. And that is exactly what front to back comps like to do. I think it is going to be very heavily on the Kindred and the Mbessa to win this game for UNF. I don't think that UNF is going to have an easy time at all into this Sion Xin Zhao front line. And I think we're gonna really have to see the Severe and this Ari explode if we want to see UNF winning fights. Of course, if we make it into the late game, I'm sure we'll see the Zeri shine especially brightly. I think that Zeri is a character that can do well into the Scion and the Xin Zhao. And I think that if anyone can carry a struggling game, it is probably Antonio on the Zeri. His work on Seraphine was honestly quite excellent that last game. I think he's really what kept UNF in the game uh, once they started struggling into the Malphite. The Seraphine was really the one putting in the most work, and I think that once he scales on the Zeri, I think he definitely has the potential to just perform that way again. I think that the team in red has a little bit stronger priority for the Drakes. I think that in general, the 4 characters on the bottom side of the map are a little bit stronger for them early. So depending how early bot lane goes, I expect to see more Drakes on the side of OVS. I expect to see a few more teamfight wins on the side of OVS. Honestly, I think the little skirmishes that we see so often pop up in the early game are going to be a little bit tougher for UNF to win. But we'll see if they prove me wrong or not. Noah, do you have a favorite skin line?
I think High Noon is really good. I don't really have like a favorite, but I think if I had to pick a really good one, High Noon is up there, at least for me.
When you think of High Noon, what character do you think of? Or do you think of like
I
many?
I think of um, I mean I think of Darius because that's the one I own.
Mm-hmm.
But High Noon Victor is also very good.
I have High Noon Mordekaiser, and I've never really like before him. I never really thought about the High Noon skin line. I'm more of like I've never been into like westerns and stuff, so it didn't interest me majorly. But after seeing his effects, and he's got I love for the Death Realm, it plays the like classic cowboy whistle, like it's high
Oh, like
noon
the
type
duel.
thing, and I think that's really fun. Yeah, the duel.
Yeah,
My
that's
lack
super
of
fun.
knowledge is showing. So I do definitely I appreciate that skin line a lot. Get what you're
Yeah,
going
High Noon
for.
is yeah, High Noon is great. Uh, Deathsworn, I think it is. Yeah, Deathsworn has some cool skins in it too. I own a couple of these. Um, Again, I like you. I didn't think of this skin line much until I got Deathsworn Victor, and I kind of looked through it. So I now also own Deathsworn Katarina, which I think is also a nice skin.
I like it. I really like it when champions are reimagined to be from like a different region. I don't know if that's necessarily what Deathsworn is, like a Lost Isles reimagination of characters, but that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, that's
And
kind of what it feels like.
I
Um,
enjoy the design elements of other sections of Runeterra being interpreted in these characters.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think go on.
Nah, yeah. When I think of that kind of concept, the first character that comes to mind is Poppy, which is weird. Uh, so I know she has Nox as Poppy. It's very obviously Noxus themed.
Hmm. I think it's also a good skin too, which helps.
Yeah, that definitely helps.
So the game did get off to a bit of a slow start just because one of the players had to take a second to use the restroom. Currently, I'm sitting on the game has been on pause. Play will resume in 0. Are you in the same boat?
I'm also sitting on that.
All right. We had
There we
that
go.
last Tuesday, and it was just we had to wait a second for it to fix itself, or
You good
Monday
now?
rather. Yes, sir.
All right. Looks like
It
they.
looks like. Go on.
This looks like an invade. If I
Looks like UNF is just going all in on getting vision in their opponent's jungle. I think it's a little tough to necessarily invade just because they don't have any hooks and their only form of CC is. I guess Victor could start with his E, I think it's his W. Yeah, his W. And Nami bubble, but I feel like it's a lot of investment. So
yeah.
very tough for UNF to necessarily get that early game. Unique pathing for sure for this team that so often just loves to 5-point. Ultimately, both teams get vision of each other. Both junglers clear bot to top. The game continues on. I think Ambessa is a little bit weaker in the early game than Sion is. Both of them are quite strong late. But I want to say Ambessa is a bit stronger late than a late game Sion. And a bit weaker early than an early game Sion. I definitely think her mid game is where she is at the strongest in this matchup. But it'll definitely be a tough start. Especially if you don't know what you're doing. It looks like Nick just takes a bunch of chip damage, a very big losing trade. Sion especially doesn't mind losing health as much in the early game. I think he'll take an even trade as often as possible, just because his life after death passive gives him a benefit to trading even with his opponent. I do not expect there to be a lot of action in the bot lane this game. I think both bot laners are on characters they really want to sit back and scale on. Dossie is a bit more used to aggression as a player, just because of the characters he plays. And I think Severe is a bit stronger than Zeri early. So, if anything, I think we'll have to worry a little about Antonio's health, but I think that the Zeri player is intelligent enough that he won't let himself fall here in the early game. First mark is on the bottom side scuttle. Both top laners cleared upwards, so Mike Beeston definitely does have the opportunity to get it. It looks like he is beelining for it. And Lulu takes the time to put vision around it. A little bit unlucky having to roam across the map for it, but I'm sure that this Kindred does not mind getting the free mark to start the game off, winning the 50-50. Nick is actually trading quite favorably onto the Scion. I think that we need to see Bourbon get a bit more damage if he hopes to kill the Ambessa in his passive, and it looks like I could have put too much confidence in Bourbon. As I speak, Mike Beeston is ganking the bot lane. Looks like Dossie is very nearly going to go down, forced to use all of the abilities in bot, or all of the summoner spells in bot lane. Dossie, Flash Barrier, Rex Nemo, Heal Flash. Very impactful gank by Mike Beeston. Even if no one died, a lot was gained for Antonio and Caffeine here. Xin Zhao now lurking around the bot lane. UNF does have a ward in their river, so they shouldn't get caught out by this jungle gank, this jungler. And in the end, they do not get caught out by this jungler. In the mid lane, I haven't really touched upon it, but generally, Ari is expected to win in this matchup. Victor is a scaling character. I believe his passive is that his abilities get upgraded as he kills minions and players as the game goes on. So Ari doesn't have anything like that. Ari's a very consistent, powerful throughout the game, not necessarily the strongest mid laner, but just consistent. So you really would expect her to have an edge over the Victor in this lane. However, it looks like Jack Frost is very, very consistently dishing out damage without taking any damage onto himself. Mike Beeston gets a fantastic counter gank onto Abdurrahman, ultimately taking him down and setting this Victor super far ahead. Getting a takedown is very significant on the character because of the previously mentioned passive. So any kill participation is valuable, highly valuable on Victor. And I think that just because Jack Frost is already showing such a strong early lead, that this lane is going to go very, very well for player in blue. Mike Beeston hunting around the top lane, takes the time to go for the scuttle. Sion should know that the Kindred's nearby, just because of a ward. But it looks like Nick won't even need his jungler's help. The Sion is getting chunked, and the Xin Zhao is nearby, but the Sion just doesn't have the health or the mana to realistically follow up on a jungle gank. And he will be forced to recall and teleport back to lane. And Nick now at the mercy of Abdurrahman, and it looks like he whiffs the Xin Zhao Q, I think, maybe? I don't actually know which ability that is, but I just assume it's the Q because it's engage. But either way, Nick escapes unscathed. Orange Juice gets an electrocute proc on Jack Frost, however, the Victor E is enough damage to outtrade the electrocute. We see Spirit Rush come out. Significant damage comes out onto the Victor. In the bot lane, we also see Nami's Wave come out, and Dossie is forced to use her spell shield, or his spell shield. Antonio goes a bit far forward for this kill on Dossie, uses barrier, forces barrier out of his opponent. In the end, the ADC for UNF does go down. Lieutenant Orange Juice and Jack Frost trading until the very last little pixels of HP on their character. And in the end, neither go down, but Jack Frost gets prio, so that's something. 20 CS lead is not anything to sneeze at. Meanwhile, Mike Beeston just calmly running through the jungle, collecting Void Grubs, collecting his opponent's red buff. Nick very nearly kills Sion again. Smartly does not decide to engage under tower. I definitely could imagine some of UNF's opponents doing that, but Nick does a good job of holding back. I do think the Sion is going to get his recall off. Mike Beeston really wanted that tower dive, but it's just not going to happen. And the first Drake is up, has been up for almost 5 minutes now. No sign of it getting contested in the slightest. Not quite what I expected from the bot lane here. I think that the reason the Drake hasn't been contested is because both bot laners or all four bot laners, I guess. Both teams' bot laners are very, very passive. And as a result of that, an action such as taking the Drake is a little less likely. Antonio caught with his pants down a little bit far forward. Dossie and Rex Nemo come in, very nearly kill him. Caffeine flashes forward with the Nami wave. I don't know if that flash was really necessary, but you know, the Zaire is still alive, so it was worth it to him, I'm sure. Mike Beeston and Nick doing their best to gank the Sion, but he is already at the point where he has so much health, he probably won't be dying for the rest of the game. Ambessa has max health damage on her Q and her E, so I could imagine her finding the damage to kill him. But realistically, we should not be seeing the Sion go down at any point. A favorable trade for Nick. We do see the public execution come out. Very, very ambitious. Sion and Nick both flash under their tower, and Nick does manage to kill Sion under his own tower. As I mentioned, I really don't think we should see the Sion dying. I think that was definitely a result of impatience from Bourbon. I feel like top lane is a lane where you really need to just sometimes be okay with losing CS and letting the wave push towards you. And I think that Bourbon did not have the patience for that. I think that it's definitely something we see less in mid lane than we do in top lane. It's still an important philosophy to have in mid lane, but because the lane is so short, you see things like that a lot less often. And I think that's really where we see the faults come in on the Sion. Xin Zhao gets a fantastic gank off in the mid lane. Jack Frost falls, and Orange Juice is the one that walks away with a kill. Because the Drake was taken so late into the game, we will not be seeing another objective for a good amount of time here. The Rift Herald is 3 minutes away, but generally it is not an objective that is hotly contested on spawn. Ambessa is pretty far forward, and Abdurrahman is here and looking. However, Mike Beeston is also in the top lane. We do see the Xin Zhao forced to flash, and Sion is forced to use his ultimate. We see Spirit Rush and the Psionic Storm come out in mid lane. Both mid laners are put to about half health, and no further effects. Jack Frost hits a great E, puts Ahri a lot lower than half health. Really one little love tap away from death. I would not be surprised to see a flash Q come out of this Victor, but it looks like it's not meant to be. In the top lane, we see Sion getting stopped in between his tier 1 and tier 2. It looks like UNF is very intent on taking this first turret. And they do, of course, get it. Cannot feel very good for the Sion getting this camped this hard. I think I saw a tent actually set up in his jungle. Zerial and Namiel both invested in the bot lane. Dossie is forced to flash, but I'm really not expecting anything to come out of this. This bot lane has been very slow, very uninteractive, which is exactly what the Zeri wants. I think that we do see Zeri 0-1, but Antonio has like almost a 30 CS lead. It's exactly the position he wants to be in this kind of lane. In the way. Will not. It is the second Drake of the game. It will be a Cloud Drake. It will not be another Cloud Soul this game. Rift Herald has spawned. However, as I mentioned, it is less hotly contested on spawn than most objectives. We see a couple members of UNF near it. I don't know if we'll see a couple members of UNF going for it. Mid lane has Prio. Mike Beeston is present. Top lane has Prio. by all means, this is the perfect time to take Rift Herald, but we do not see Rift Herald being taken. And now it has started. Looks like OVS doesn't even want to consider it. We see the Xin Zhao walking bot. I think that if they're not going to be contesting this Rift Herald, what they really need to do is kill UNF spot lane by any means necessary and not lose any players. Kill them under their own tower. Lieutenant Orange Juice caught out by the public execution. He does Spirit Rush away, flubs the Spirit Rush, so he flashes, and in a panic, and does manage to escape. Also hits a great charm into Mike Beastum, forces out the Kindred ult. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, the Nami ult knocks up several members. Antonio gets a kill on the jungler of OVS, and it chases down Dossie as well. It looks like Rex Nemo will manage to survive this, but a disaster for OVS, honestly. A 3v2 tower dive could not have gone more wrong. They do manage to kill Caffeine, but for their efforts, they lose 2 of their members over to the ADC of UNF, and previously, I would say the Zeri and the Severe were pretty even. Despite the major CS difference, a kill is worth a lot of gold. But now we see them on equal footing as far as kills go, and only one of them has a bounty. This game is going very different from the previous game. I think that game 1, both teams were very even about the whole game. However, at this point, we see a 6,000 gold lead on the side of UNF. That is not an insignificant amount by any means. Jack Frost gets run at by Sion, flashes it, dodges the Ahri's charm quite cleanly. We see Spirit Rush come out, but it doesn't have really any major meaning except the Ahri is vulnerable right now. However, Caffeine gets caught out by the charm and cut down. We see a challenge come out from Xin Zhao as well there, so he does not have it for this dragon. Sion predicts Antonio's engage, but it's just not enough. Nick goes in on the jungler of OVS, gets a double kill, gets a triple kill. And I'm sure he is fiending for that quadra onto Lieutenant Orange Juice. However, with no wave pushed in, it's just too hard to get. Orange Juice is looking like he's going to get tower dived, or tower dove. But in the end, the tower goes down and it's just cleaned up by Mike Beaston. 20 minutes in, the Kindred is sitting at 5 stacks. Very modest amount. I think Michael is doing quite well this game. A lot of members of UNF are doing quite well this game. Honestly, Nick is looking like quite a monster, especially. I think it's pretty clear who the favorites to win this game are. And I don't think we're going to be seeing any upsets this time around. Ahri is not a character like Malphite that can just instantly kill 2 and change a fight. She takes a lot more mechanical capability, and she can really only target one character at a time, and even still it's tough to burst them 100 to 0. It looks like this Sion might be in a little bit of trouble. We see 4 members of UNF's team congregating on the top side of the map. I was really expecting Antonio and Caffeine to walk up to the top lane. Instead, they've elected to meander around the Raptors pit and do nothing. A little bit uncertain what the idea was behind that. I think they wanted to go up, but were told not to worry about it. Could just be that they were lurking out of vision. Who knows? 4 members of OVS mid. Otacon has spawned on the top side of the map. Abdurrahman caught out by the public execution and the Nami wave. He does use his challenge. I believe is what that's called. Or crescent guard. Really, if they challenges an opponent, whatever. He does use his crescent guard. And it just barely survives. Scion rolls up with the unstoppable onslaught. Is stopped. Is killed, put in his place. Antonio gets another kill. Meanwhile, Jack Frost just happily pushing the bot lane. Collects his 700 gold in tier 2. And Mike Beeston is soloing the Otacon. No longer. He is now joined by Nick. UNF is doing everything they need to do to stay ahead. I think they're doing far better at keeping a winning position this game than they were last game. OVS is aware of their position, but really can't do anything about it. And with Baron 3 minutes away, I think UNF is a little unsure of exactly what to do. I think they know what they want, but they don't know how to get it. Antonio is just solo pushing mid right now. And I think that UNF has their eyes really set on this mid lane tier 2. They've knocked down most of the other turrets that are available to them. Top lane's inhibitor turret is even down, the tier 3. And it looks like, by the state of the map, that if they really wanted it, UNF could have gotten the mid turret right now. But instead, we see Antonio elect to recall. Drake is a minute away, and it is an Infernal Soul, which is a very, very solid Drake. Having extra damage is something nobody would scuff. Or I don't think scuff's the right word. Snob? I think I was thinking of snob. Nobody would snob. Nobody would turn their nose up at the beautiful, beautiful 3% extra attack damage offered by the Infernal Drake. Mike Beeston chases down Abdurrahman in his own jungle. We do see a flash expended from the Kindred, but ultimately, in the end, we see this Lee Sin go, or not Lee Sin, Xin Zhao go down. The Scion, additionally getting chased by Mike Beeston, forced to flash away. We do see Caffeine once again get caught out by Lieutenant Orange Juice's charm. And Spirit Rush is invested to run away from Mike Beeston. Another great charm on the Mike Beeston. We see the unstoppable onslaught come out from the Scion. And the Lamb's Respite come out from this Kindred. Unfortunately, the Lamb's Respite is not enough to save Mike Beeston, and he does go down. In exchange, the Scion is quick to follow. UNF, however, are without their top laner's ultimate. Both laners are present, are not at full health. They don't really want to engage on a fight in their opponent's main base. UNF just remembered that there is an Infernal Drake up. It looks like they might be going for it without their jungler. Just because they have such a significant advantage that Abdurrahman couldn't reasonably hope to get to this dragon in time to steal it. Or get to this dragon without being seen and survive. And it looks like enough time has been dilly-dallied away that the Baron is up. UNF's very favorite objective. We see the Zarya recall and everyone else on the team beelining for the big purple worm. Jack Frost caught out a little bit, wandering his own is in his opponent's jungle. However, he's strong enough at this point that the Xin Zhao can't take him down on his own. Antonio catches out the Lulu, and also chunks down the Ari's health just a little bit. UNF is all congregated in the mid lane, but I really feel like they should be looking for the Baron right now. Unstoppable Onslaught comes out onto Mike Beast, and Lance Respite is also used. The Ambessa goes in with her ultimate onto OVS's jungler San, and the Xin Zhao go down. Jack Frost is able to follow up and kill the Ahri. It looks like Dasu will be the only surviving member of OVS, but I think that the Severe is going to be enough to hold a wave back. UNF are in a very strong position right now. And I think Dossie is probably OVS's strongest member, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think this is another victory for UNF. This game was definitely a lot cleaner than the last, and way, way faster. Ultimately, we did not see UNF get the Baron. But we do see them win the game. Very well played by UNF. This is the first game in a long time they've won not by shoving mid. Honestly, I think all of the members of UNF did a really, really great job that game. I would not have guessed that Noah was the farthest behind in gold, like counting the support. I felt like that guy was so, so strong, but it could just be an Mbessa character thing.
Nick.
Oh, did I say Noah?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Well, Noah, how did you feel about the game? It was very different from the first game, that's for sure.
Yeah, it wasn't as close. Not a whole lot of turns. It's pretty straight. Early game was good for UNF. Mid game, late game, just kind of went in one straight direction.
Very, very cookie cutter.
Very. But I am excited to see how this third one plays out.
I hope we get to see some Viego. Honestly, I think that yesterday the Viego was very, very impressive. I think seeing him reset in the team fights. Hello, hello,
Hey guys.
Yeah.
hello.
So we're gonna mix it up this game. We're just gonna full blind pick, no bans. We're just sending it us versus them. Everyone gets whatever champ they want.
Alrighty, that is
Oh,
an
that's fun. I
exciting
like that.
prospect.
No draft, so see you in there.
Wait, can
All
I ask?
right.
Never mind. I was gonna ask. I guess I'll
Hey.
ask in the interview afterwards.
Guess we're getting a favorite character comp.
Um,
I wonder if this means. I wonder if we'll see any like Ditto matchups here.
yeah, that is
It's a very
conceivable.
slight possibility. But hey, we might actually see the Viego this round.
Who do we think is Mike Beeson's favorite? What if he pulls out the volley bear for the final game? Nope, there's the Viego.
That's what I'm saying.
Samira? I am so curious what we're about to see pull up here.
This is Samira top. This is Nick Samira top.
Is this
Oh
is
my
this
gosh.
something of legends? Is this of lore?
This is legendary. This
Tell me
is
what you know.
legendary right here.
I need to
This
hear
is
about this.
Nick is so I'm not sure if you knew this, but Nick is the #1 Samira top lane in North America.
Really?
So this will be very interesting to see.
I never actually knew that about him. I'm surprised we've never seen him pull out his legendary Samira in Scrim before. This will be the first time
Yeah.
I'm seeing it.
Well,
The Mundo mid is also an interesting pick.
Mundo mid, that's been a popular thing. I had to play against that um very recently in a draft pick.
Wow, congratulations. I always enjoy fighting Mundo in the top lane. I imagine it's very much the same in mid lane.
Oh no, it was fine. I was playing Katarina, so you just build. You just build on
cleaned up.
hit and it's all good.
It looks like we might see a Ditto in the bot lane with 2 Kaisas. That would be very, very funny. Please luck in the Kaisa, please. I want to see this so bad. I think both players did luck in the Kaisa, but one of them looks like he was banned away. This is an interesting screen cap. And I just realized I forgot to switch to the client view. You can see it very briefly. There's a spectator delay, actually. We'll see it for a good while.
But I am very excited to see this this mythical matchup in the top lane.
Camille versus Samira. I cannot imagine that being good for Samira at all. I think she's going to have to rely very heavily on the Viego to survive the Camille, especially once the Camille hits level 6. But we'll see. Admittedly, is not a matchup I know by heart. As well, we also see Kaisa on both teams. I really hope they let that play out. I imagine they will. I imagine it's something that they've discussed or they expected to some degree. So, in terms of comps, it looks like OVS has gone for a very, very divey comp. Camille, Galio, Vi, Nautilus, Kaisa. All of these characters scream dive. Both Vi and Nautilus have incredibly thoughtless, incredibly powerful ultimates. You just click on an opponent and then they get stunned. Straightforward. Galio, you click on a teammate, the whole opponent's team gets stunned. It's awesome. And Camille can lock someone out. Honestly, quite similar to Vi and Nautilus's ults, but a bit more investment and a little bit less CC, I guess. And Kaisa is able to follow up on any engage with her ultimate, with her R. I was trying to remember the name of it.
Yeah, a lot of CC could be bad for the Samira. If she ever wants to use her ult, she'll just get stunned out of it immediately,
It's
no
true.
matter who's there. So, um, looks like it is going to be up to the Mundo to try and at least tank some of that, if possible. Not counting point and click, of course.
Mm-hmm. And I think that UNF is, I would argue it's a bit more of a front to back. I feel like Samira and Kaisa are both very divey. And I think Viego is also divey to some extent. Maybe more of a pick comp type of character. But Mundo is just so frontline, as well as Blitzcrank, that I want to call this an awkward front to back. It's like front to back mixed with a pick comp. UNF a little bit less organized in their comps compared to their opponents tonight, I want to say. But I think they're just having a lot of good fun. I'm curious if we'll see any invades to start off with. Both teams do have hooks available to them. It looks like we'll be seeing a little bit of cheeky cheese come out in the bot lane here from Team OVS. UNF is a little bit less prepared. And it looks like 5,000 milligrams caffeine was originally told to pick not. We could have had a complete mirror match in the bot lane. That would have been very impressive. The Blitzcrank, oh, it was actually UNF that was in the bot lane. No, OVS, my bad. The Blitzcrank flashes did not manage to hit the hook. And ultimately, Dossie escapes alive. I was not expecting that. I was really hoping, honestly, for someone to die in the first minute of the game. But that's not what ended up happening. It looks like Mike Beeston, Caffeine, and Antonio are all still holding out hope that they can catch someone out. They do not get spotted by this Nautilus. And it looks like we will be seeing a player die. And it looks like they're waiting for the Kaisa. Jack Frost is also here to join the party, sacrificing an outrageous amount of XP and prio in the mid lane. But this Kaisa should die. She does have her flash available to her. She does flash a little bit prematurely. I don't know if there's realistically anything she could do there. But yeah, it's a quick start to this game. Dossie down. And that kill did go over to the one and only Mike Beeston, already off to a great start on the Viego. I would have actually
was able to teleport. Oh, yeah, Jack Frost was able to teleport back to mid lane, so we didn't lose too much in terms of XP and CS. Maybe lost 1 minion.
Which is not bad at all, honestly. I think Mundo is a character that doesn't necessarily need to be ahead. Normally, in top lane, you would expect to go behind a little bit with Mundo. So it's really nothing new. Now we see Dossie return to lane, a level down, significant XP difference between the two ADCs. Antonio looks like he's getting actually outplayed by the Kaisa that suffered in the early game. Trades going down in the mid lane, pretty even between the two of them. But UNF's bot lane is looking rough. I think Antonio is in a scary space right now. Nemo hex flashes into the mid bush. But Antonio is not willing to take the risk of this fight. Attempts to recall, does not succeed, and is in a tough position under his tower. He's just going to start to go behind in CS, despite his incredible early lead that was gifted to him. I don't think we're going to see UNF's Kaisa in a great position for a little bit. Vi at this point has come to UNF's jungle, UNF's blue jungle. It looks like this Mundo is getting looked at, but the Vi is on vision. OVS, this is jungler, stopped, recall stopped by Jack Frost. Mike Beeston is lurking around the top lane, but this Camille is pretty shoved under her tower. She does go for an engage onto Nick. Mike Beeston flashes forward with the Viego stun, but does not unfortunately connect, and Bourbon is forced to flash away if she hopes to survive. Orange Juice, freshly off of a recall and teleport, gets some good damage onto Jack Frost in the mid lane, forces a recall. Nick gets engaged upon by Bourbon, and the Camille does force out a barrier, but does not get a kill. It's interesting to see that the Samira didn't opt for a teleport. I think she's gonna suffer a little bit for that, gonna fall behind just in XP pretty majorly, honestly. Caffeine flashes forward, knocks up Nemo, and hooks Dossie. However, Antonio just doesn't have the damage to kill Dossie, and Mike Beeson is the one that has to clean up in the bot lane. Viego presently in a very, very strong position. I think that this first Drake is very likely to go into the hands of UNF's jungler. Looks like not right at this moment, but I expect within the next couple of minutes. Lieutenant Orange Juice doesn't realize he's in trouble. Spectral Maul comes out, connects, forces yet again another flash out of this Galio. It's got to be frustrating every time that this Viego goes in. His victim just flashes away. I've been there and it sucks, but I think that like Beastum is a lot more intelligent of a player than I am. He's able to think things through a lot more. I think now that these players have their flashes down, these objectives are going to be going over to UNF quite confidently. That being said, we see the Vi looking at Drake. Grubs aren't coming up for another minute, and Mike Beastum is on the opposite side of the map. He hasn't recalled in quite a while. He's sitting on over 1,000 gold. And Vi is looking to start Drake. I do think this first Drake will not be going over to UNF, despite the incredible strength of the Viego right now. However, we do see Viego ganking top. Meanwhile, Nick is quite low. Bourbon does manage to squeeze out a kill before she dies in the bot lane. Antonio getting great damage onto Nemo. Unfortunately for him, Dossie is just pumping out damage onto UNF's Kaisa. Caffeine is pulled in by the Nautilus, and Dossie is able to convert it into gold. Unfortunately for them, the Nautilus is the one that walks away with that kill. But it's just not a great place to be if you're UNF spot lane. It looks like we do have a pretty clear winner on who's the stronger Kaisa, or at the very least, which is the better composition. This Nautilus is really putting in his weight in gold, I guess. Putting in work, I say. Lieutenant Orange Juice once again eats the Spectral Maw. This time, Mike Beastum eats 3 turret shots. Not a really great trade. Nick has moved into the mid lane, and this Vi awkwardly flashes. Definitely was a misclick. Pulls out her ult, but goes down in the end. And this Samira finally nets a kill for herself. Blitzcrank, hex flashing over the wall, does not manage to land a hook. And the Nautilus is lurking around for this grub fight. I wonder why UNF didn't go Nautilus. I feel like he would have been a really great support with both the Kaisa and the Samira. Kind of disappointing thinking about it. We see Blitzcrank fail a Hex Flash in the bot lane. Both junglers are playing footsies with each other around this grub pit. Nick gets engaged upon by the Camille. Manages to pull out the Inferno Trigger and takes down the Camille. Mike Beaston was not part of the fight, so he does not have a body to take over. And it looks like he really wants to engage onto this Vi and this Nautilus. He doesn't realize how that's going to end for him, and we do see UNF's jungler fall. A great hook comes out from Caffeine, catches Dossie, and Antonio is able to clean up with the Killer Instinct. That's what it's called. I didn't need to check, I remembered. And this is a very scrappy start to the game. UNF is roughly 1,000 gold ahead, but both of the jungle objectives have gone over to OVS. And there have been ganks all around the map. Presently, Nautilus is in the mid lane, but dude, whatever you do, don't check the
crazy chat spam by Antonio.
Don't check the Kaisa CS.
Oh, don't bolt to the Kaisa CS.
That was a nice moment.
That was a good moment. What is League of Legends even about?
That is what League of Legends is all about, honestly. It is beautiful. We see Nick pull out the Inferno Trigger. Unfortunately, Vi is there with the cease and desist to shut him down. And we see this Samira converted into gold. This is very cute in the mid lane. Both mid laners just clearing the waves independent of each other, both playing solitaire. This is the tank versus tank matchup. Usually we see it in top, but this time we see it in mid. It looks like Caffeine once again flash forward in order to miss hook. I think that's the third time we've seen it this game, maybe fourth time we've seen it this game actually. A very consistent play from this player. I wonder what they're really going for when they do it. Just an intimidation thing, maybe? Mike Beeston lurking in the bot lane. He really wants it, but I don't think he's gonna get it. Caffeine sits under tower, takes 3 shots, whiffs a hook. Spectral Maul coming out, connects onto Dossie. We see the Galio come out. Mike Beeston is able to dodge it with the passive of Viego, the Sovereign's Domination. Unfortunately for him, he is locked into CC under the tower. That was probably about 3 seconds of CC while the tower shot at him. Antonio is able to clean up, however, and we see this Nautilus fall at the hands of UNF's ADC. Unfortunately, that tower is supercharged and taps the Kaisa from about half health with the barrier. The next Drake has spawned. It is a... I don't remember what that Drake is called. Hextech, that's what it is. It is a Hextech Drake, and both teams have their eyes feasted on it. Both junglers are bot lane. Mike Beeston going a little bit far forward, I think, probably could have been caught out by the Nautilus there, but is not. UNF is at the Drake a little bit later than their opponent. Spectral Ball comes out, connects onto the Nautilus. I do think this Nautilus will be able to get away, and the Drake does go into the hands of OVS. Mike Beeston really fiending for that kill just to get his first reset off. Unfortunately does not get it, forced to flash away. Orange Juice hits a great engage onto Caffeine, follows up with solid damage onto Antonio and Jack Frost. Unfortunately for him, Antonio is able to dish out the damage needed to kill the Galio. Flash is forced out by the ADC of UNF, and this Kaisa hit an amazing volley of missiles onto her opponent's Dossie, falls shortly after, and I do think we're also going to see this Nautilus go down. A triple kill from Mike Beeston on the Dragon. After what looked like a really tough fight for UNF at the very start of all that, Viego is really able to come in and turn that around. Nick trading Inferno Trigger onto the Camille brings her down from full health to only a sliver. Unfortunately, just not able to kill. I'm surprised Camille didn't start off with the red boots. I really feel like that's quite effective into Samira. It looks like Camille just might have enough health to be able to deal, though. In top lane, but this guy is not the best Samira and NA in top lane for nothing. Rift Herald.
Darn straight.
20 seconds away from spawning. Mike Beeston engages in the mid lane, gets knocked up, and then knocked up while he's knocked up. And shut down by the Galio. Jack Frost looks like he is going to be getting caught out as well, this time going over to the Vi. Rift Herald, it looks like it'll be taken by OVS. Nick is present in the mid lane, looking to chunk down his opponents as much as he can, but realistically there's not really a whole lot he can do. We get to see a 1v1 Antonio versus Dossie. This has been built up the whole game. Kaisa versus Kaisa. Antonio walks away a little bit healthier. Originally, this early game was looking quite rough for UNF's Kaisa. However, in the mid game, we have Kaisa reigning supreme, and it is not Dossie. Lieutenant Orange Juice 2v1ing UNF spot lane. Antonio is out of mana, so it would be a little bit tough to clear out this Galio. However, 5,000 milligrams of caffeine is not out of mana, and the Galio just cannot escape this Blitzcrank. Abdurrahman Gets great engage onto Nick into the top lane, cleans up. Camille is now in great position to take this tier 2. Mike Beeston is stepping towards his red buff, begging for help from his Mundo. It looks like he's going to do his best to save this top lane tier 2. He goes for an engage onto the Camille, but decides to settle for the Vi. Jack Frost is present in the top lane. Camille has ult, Vi does not. And we do see Mike Beeston go down, crucially, before he could get the reset onto the Vi. I think that Jack Frost needed to just take a little bit more damage than he did. It was a very good target prio from the players of OVS, but I feel like that could have been taken a little bit slower. I think UNF's jungler was just a little bit excited to get that kill, or maybe desperate is a better word, and it didn't work out. 5,000 milligrams of caffeine engaged upon by Rex Nemo, followed up upon by Lieutenant Orange Juice, and cleaned up by Antonio. This Kai'Sa is on a rampage. I haven't seen a moment this game where she doesn't look incredibly dominant. She is just so consistently able to dish out damage. Lieutenant Orange Juice, building full tank, was put from full health to a quarter of his health in one set of missiles, honestly. This Kai'Sa is just looking super, super strong. Galio flashes on her, hits the full combo. She comes out alive. The Galio comes out dead. This Camille is short to follow. Antonio is unstoppable. Mike Beeston takes over the corpse of Bourbon and chases down Dossie. This is a very violent game of League of Legends. Just kill after kill after kill on the side of UNF. It's been a very, very active couple of minutes. Stark difference from the previous game. I would not guess that these are the same two ADCs playing against each other. And it's interesting that they both chose such aggressive characters in the game where they're allowed to choose whoever they want. Third Drake this game, Mountain Drake, will be a Mountain Soul. Looks like we'll be going over to UNF Abdurrahman, or Abdurrahman, yeah, Abdurrahman, caught out, chunked down by the Kai'Sa in the mid lane. Presently, we have two laners from OVS pushing for this bot tier 1. Looks like it's been standing long enough. Its time has come. Never mind, the Camille's recalling. Jack Frost wants her to stay. This guy is ready to 2v1. He says, I am capable, I am willing. But it looks like it's not meant to be. Instead, we will see two tanks taking wave in front of each other once again. However, I do think the Mundo has quite a bit of an edge. She's got a 2-level lead on the Galio. His passive is inherently quite helpful against all of Galio's kit. And the Mundo Q just deals so much damage. Once again, we see this Blitzcrank flash over wall and not hook the Galio. Instead, he opts to run around, do a little jig, and leave. Jack Frost pops the maximum charge. Mike Beeston follows up. It looks like we might be seeing this Nautilus go down, and in fact we do. Mike Beeston gets the reset. Once again, pulling out his magnificent Nautilus gameplay. This guy might be meant to play support, honestly. I've seen a lot of great Nautilus work out of Mike Beeston. Sets his team up for victory, does a boatload of damage, but ultimately Antonio's not there, so we're not going to see any kills happen in favor of UNF. Nick actually manages to make something work. 5,000 milligrams of caffeine, hooks the jungler of OVS, but Nick actually just does not have the damage needed to kill him. Bloodthirster start is not the worst thing in the world on Samira, but I think that that's really something for top lane. I think that Samira just doesn't have damage with the items she's got right now to follow up with anything. and OVS are starting Otacon. I think that this is pretty ambitious. They have their ADC, but they don't have the damage to clear this fast enough, and Mike Beeston is going to be present in time. Additionally, we see the Mundo lurking around. I kind of don't like how much damage the Mundo is taking from the Otacon. I think his strength lies a lot in his armor and in his tankiness, and the Otacon really just destroys that. However, the Otacon is a great objective to flip. Really, it looks so possible for Mike Beeston to just clean up the entire enemy team right here. Unfortunately, he's just not fast enough. That being said, he does get a kill onto Nemo, whiffs the hook, and engages onto Camille. It looks like he does not plan to take advantage of the Nautilus passive. I'm curious if he even knows what the Nautilus passive is. I feel like he really could have gotten a hook down. However, Spectral Maul comes out, and Bourbon is put down. Presently, this Viego is 12-5, and I think that anything he faces will disappear. Mike Beeston is putting on an excellent performance for his final scrim game ever. Or at least final scrim game under the name of UNF. Abdurrahman wandering through his own jungle, unaware has been completely cleared. Looks like Rex Nemo might be going down here. Finally, 5,000 milligrams of caffeine hits a hook. Spectral Maul followed up. Nick tries to follow up as well, but this Nautilus is able to escape. Unfortunately, he just goes down immediately at the next opportunity to the hands of Mike Beeston. Mike Beeston falls to Lieutenant Orange Juice. Nick falls as well. However, Antonio has been spending the whole time pumping damage into the enemy Kaisa, and Jack Frost is here to frontline. Antonio gets a triple kill. It looks like it has potential to be a quadra kill, but Jack Frost just doesn't have the health to keep tanking. This Kaisa will be clearing out the mid lane inhibitor turret. Lieutenant Orange Juice flashes on the Kaisa. This is the second or third time this game, and it went the exact same way it did the previous two times, with Kaisa surviving and Galio not surviving.
I am surprised to see Kaisa with the this shattered arm guard. Not sure how common of an item that is, but it seemed to work pretty well here.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty reasonable into the composition she's fighting. I think that this guy wants to carry, but it's really hard to do so against the depth charge and the cease and desist. Very straightforward options. I definitely don't mind the stopwatch, the Zhonya's here. Very good call, honestly, but definitely not something you see every day. Kaisa is definitely uniquely able to build it. Mike Beeston hiding in a bush, waiting for 5,000 milligrams of caffeine to hit a hook. Once again, flashes in, hits nothing. Oh, actually, we see a hook come out onto the Camille. Connects. This will be the death of the Blitzcrank. However, this Nautilus is a little bit overextended. And we do see Mike Beeston flash after him, but go down before he can get the Sovereign Domain off. Antonio caught out finally and shut down. Nick is dueling the Camille in her own jungle. Jack Frost, the last surviving member of UNF, additionally cut down. That was a very disastrous fight for UNF. I think that UNF just doesn't have as strong of a team fight as OVS does. And I also don't think UNF thought there was even a chance of them losing at that point. Antonio has been looking so dominant over the course of this game that I personally also didn't think that a teamfight loss was possible. But OVS showed both them and me. I think the incredible amount of CC that the members of OVS have really makes it difficult for Antonio to carry, as previously mentioned. Spending the gold for Zhonya's really sets his damage back. And I think spending the time stun locked by the Zhonya's is very detrimental in the fight. The Kai'Sa does a lot of damage, but I think she doesn't do enough to justify like spending that amount of time not dealing damage. A lot of her damage comes from her ability activation, the plasma charge activation rather, and that can't get activated while she's in Zhonya's, especially because she went and purchased Zhonya's. That is where the AP damage comes in her kit, is from the plasma. So it's a very big struggle to win the fight while she's trying to survive the ludicrous amounts of CC and sitting in stasis. Looks like Nick will be getting dove in the bot lane. He does get chased down by the Camille, and a cease and desist does come out. This Samira falls. In exchange, UNF is looking for the top lane inhibitor turret. They chunk it down to half, but don't quite kill it. It's very hard for them to take a fight, but I feel like they maybe should have tried something. Presently, they're just 4v3 under their opponent's turret. I don't know. Antonio steps way too far forward in the mid lane, gets hooked by Rex Nemo. The death charge comes out, and Dossie is proving to be the stronger Kai'Sa when it comes to late game. This guy is able to clean up his opponent and then clean up the team fight with a very, very high amount of health. Additionally, OVS is sitting on a Baron buff. It's about to be over quite shortly, I think. So I don't know how much more they'll be able to get with it realistically. But the bottom lane inhibitor has been taken. The mid lane tier 2 has been taken. And I would not be surprised if the mid lane inhibitor would be falling shortly. It looks like UNF has taken notice of the state of the game at this point. Presently, Dossie is sitting at a 700 gold bounty. I think if anyone on UNF is able to take that, they'll be in a far, far better position. The 5th Drake has spawned. And OVS is way more ready for it than UNF. This Nautilus is charging a Hex Flash, presently unnoticed by the members of UNF in a very forward position. Mountain Drake goes down without a fight. 5,000 milligrams of caffeine is caught out. He flashes into a rock. Dossie gets the kill. Antonio uses the killer instinct on Vi. Does manage to survive, but ultimately goes down at the hands of Dossie. And the Kai'Sa for OVS is just cleaning up. It looks like this might be the end game. Realistically, I don't think it will be. But UNF only has a Samira to defend 3 members of Team OVS. And thankfully, it is the best top lane Samira in NA. And she does have her Inferno trigger, so this wave can't get cleared. It looks like she doesn't want the wave, she wants her opponents. All 3 members of OVS currently under the effects of Inferno trigger, which are taking a boatload of damage. Jack Frost TP's in, tanks a bunch of damage. Mike Beeston gets the reset onto the Camille, has great opportunity to chase, catches up to the Galio and forces a flash shot of Dossie. It looks like this Viego was able to clean up a lot in the base, but ultimately nobody gets the shutdown on OVS's Kai'Sa. UNF definitely just got shocked by that. There is no way they were expecting to lose that much for their little stunt on Dragon. I think that once they lost the Dragon, they really needed to disengage. Taking that skirmish was a very unfortunate happenstance. Presently, their inhibitor is open. It's going to be very hard for them to get a footing on the map as long as those turrets are down, which they do. The Nexus turrets do respawn 3 minutes after they've been taken, and they're probably like a minute and a half away from coming back. The next Baron is 20 seconds away from spawning. It is incredibly hard to defend Baron buff minions while you have an open Nexus. So UNF really needs to catch this Baron out. A lot of pressure is on Mike Beeston's shoulders right now to either survive this fight or to steal the Baron. It is not something I envy, but I'm sure it's something he's used to dealing with. And we see a TP come in from this Camille Bourbon looking to unceremoniously end this game. It looks like it will be a backdoor, a very sad ending to this game for UNF. I don't think the members will be able to reach the Nexus in time. And this game does end at the hands of this Camille.
That was a very interesting game. That was very fun to watch.
Mihono Bourbon clears it out. So, welcome to the call, Mike Beeston.
Hey, what's up?
How are you doing?
Good. Good. How are you guys?
I'm good.
Great.
I think those
Good.
games are pretty enjoyable to watch. I'm not gonna lie.
They were all right to play.
So, last game, last set of scrims. Are you pumped for the
Yeah.
tournament? You're participating,
Yeah, I'm
right?
excited. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm participating. It's my last tournament with UNF. Today was the last scrim for UNF. I mean, the whole team should be there, and we should be playing, and it should be a good time.
How do you feel you performed? You got to play a lot of characters that I feel like you play pretty often, and I think you did really, really good on them. All 3 games, I think you shown a lot.
Yeah, I feel good about games 1 and 2. I mean, I was a little bit behind on Elise, but if you just keep playing, you have enough utility to come back almost always. You hit Power Spike at 3, you hit Power Spike at Shadow Flame, so I felt good. Felt like I was contributing a lot to the ganks, team fights, pressures, winning lanes for sure, especially like top bot, not so much mid. So I felt good on Elise. Felt really good on Kindred. Kindred might be like top 3 best champs for me. I feel like always good on Kindred, and I just knew like shout out to VS for scrimming us, but I'm better than their jungle every time we play, and so um, I just know that if I played Kindred, I was just going to be in his jungle early and often, and I was. And he tried to play Zen, which was smart, but I was just on top of him. Like, yeah, I mean, it was just kind of a dominant game, start to finish. I was getting my marks, got them early, often, felt good about it, and just went crazy from there. And then game 3, I mean, I could have done better. I mean, I think, if you look at the performance, we just like kind of let the game go a lot and took fights we didn't have to. And I think that was kind of just part of the fun to some degree, just trying to get picks and have a good time. But I think we could have won while doing that. Fortunately, didn't. But I mean, the Viego was good. The R times were good. A couple good transforms, but yeah, they just had a lot of CC. It's hard to play the game as Viego when you just get locked down because you can't click the buttons you want to press.
hmm
So, but I felt good all 3 games. I mean, jungling always feels good. It's hard not to, unless you get put on like tank duty, and then it's kind of boring. But yeah, I mean, I got to play all 3 champs. Like I got to run my gauntlet of champs today, which was really fun. I mean, I play Viego, at least Kindred, so much, and the fact that they let them go through after the first game was kind of insane. But whoever's doing their draft is shout out to them.
Um, how do you feel about UNF, having scrimmed with them and having worked with them for so long? How do you feel about this being your last scrim? Like, how do you feel about stepping away and all that?
I mean, It's been like known for a while, so I mean I've had a while to like think about it and kind of digest it, I think. Um it sucks, but I love UNF. I graduated a week ago as of tomorrow, and then I feel good about it. I mean, I loved UNF every second I was there. There's never a point where I didn't like being a student at UNF, and then especially like a part of the club, and even more so like a part of the team. I mean, there's for sure ups and downs. Anyone that does the job I do is, they should know that it comes with ups and downs. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, but it's fulfilling in ways that I've like needed in my life. And then as far as the team's concerned, I mean, Noah's been doing some good stuff. Still a long way to go. I don't want to gas him up too much, but
Yeah.
he's learning. Um, there's always more to learn, and that's like I think that's kind of the mindset the team's approached it from top to bottom. Whether it's Caitlin, who's the master support, or Tyler, who's Emerald on like 4 accounts, like everyone is always like the mindset. Like there's always more to learn and more to learn from each other, especially. And when you have a mindset like that, it's hard to go wrong. I don't really know what the program team will look like, or if there will even be a program team for league in the spring. But I think all of the players on the league team now and me deserve an opportunity to play on it because of the work we put in. Um, I think if this is the team they have, they'd be lucky. And so I'm really proud of the team, and I know that they'll be all right even with me not playing jungle for them. But yeah, I mean, it does suck. Like you talked about it a little last game, like the weight that's kind of like on your shoulders as a jungle, like not to like undermine laning, but you're laning, like that's your job. But there's 100 ways to gank. You have to decide if you farm or not. There's so much that goes into it that like, and then on top of that, the lanes rely on you, right? Like I can't just sit there and farm the whole game and not gank. But also, if I mess up a gank, then my lane loses, and so there's a lot. Like like a tremendous amount of pressure on the jungler to do what he needs. But I've had that pressure since I've been on the team as a bronze player. So pressure makes diamonds, and I'm here for it.
Can I ask you what you're going to be doing once you're gone? Like, what's the future for Mike Beeston? Is that
Yeah,
something
I
you're
mean,
comfortable with sharing?
yeah, I think just like in life, I'll be working, studying. I'm going to law school in the fall, next fall, so um, maybe there'll be a league team there. We'll see. Maybe I'll come back and scrim the UNF people. I don't know. I'm gonna be coaching and commentating, I think, um, here and there. Not anything crazy. Um, yeah, I mean, I think like the worst part about being officer is the time you lose with friends and family. And I don't think people understand that like I made a policy when I started this that my phone was on 24 hours a day for every single person in the league community, and I meant it. And people can back up the fact that I meant every second of what I said. And I've been there at every hour, day or night, for people who've needed it, calls in the middle of the night, favors, whatever else. And that's how you do a good job and create good work ethic, and plan for the worst, hope for the best. I think like most of what I'll be doing is spending time with the people that I love, my friends and family that I've missed a lot of times with. I mean, scrimming every Monday and Thursday, you don't get to hang out with your friends or enjoy dinner with your family. Like a lot of the times I'm eating dinner right before scrims, just trying to choke down some food because I didn't eat most of the day. Um, but you lose like I worked today, right? And then had to run around, get home, saw my family for what, 2 minutes, and then had to do this. So I'll just spend some more time with them and enjoy their company. Um, worry less about team comps and league and all that. Maybe I'll watch a little more and just kind of enjoy the ride, I guess.
Hmm. Well, do you have any messages to viewers before the big tournament tomorrow? Or not tomorrow, 2 days from now?
Yeah, I mean the UNF team's doing an interview at the end of that, so I'm sure I'll have some more to say there. But I had a final message for everyone, kind of in the League of Legends announcements, and just for the team. I just want to, I'll share a little bit here. I just want to say thanks to everyone along the way. That made it special, and the scrims, especially having them streamed, was super important to me. Thanks for giving us a voice and a platform, and watching and supporting. Um, it means so much to everyone on the team, and I think like I love this shit more than anybody. So, um, it's what I'm about, and I think the most important thing is when you're whatever you're doing, just be yourself. Whether you like it or don't like it, or whether someone else likes it or doesn't like it, just try to be the best version of yourself and try to be positive and spread love, positivity. Um, if you're kind to yourself, then you can be kind to anybody, and that's all I got.
Well, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for, I mean, everything. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for the work you've done for the league team. Um, yeah,
Thank you.
I have a great night. All viewers, have a great night. Um, I think unless there's more to be said, I think I'll call stream here.
Good night,
Bye.
everybody.